well, Okay, is that good enough cold open material for you?
No, we need more.
I'm sure I'll be able to pull something out of that.
Yes, just such sight.
That's what she said.
There it is. Hi, welcome back to this absolute Hello, and welcome back to this blundering shitfest of a podcast. There we are, that's what I was going for. Today, the three of us are slagging off what I think is our, most agreed shit park.
So far.
So far,
yes. It's Bobbejaanland. It is a little Belgian, well-sized Belgian theme park that is shit.
It's a bit wank.
Yeah.
An aggressively crap park. However, I would suggest we start off with the two things that are good about this park.
Fury.
That is one of them. Let's kick off with Fury.
I don't know. As a precursor, I should mention that this was a very hot and very busy day that we visited this park.
Yeah, I think we got fairly unlucky with the planning. We must have gone on some sort of Belgian holiday.
Yeah, something was not right. It was definitely an event in the country because it was packed.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday and it was rammed. It was not pleasant.
I don't even remember what we did first. Did we go straight to Fury?
Fury.
Yeah.
Just a quick aside from Bobbejaanland, I've given you another edit job there because I just paused my recording.
For God's sake.
Why didn't you keep it going, you muppet? Mute your microphone. It's not rocket science.
He's just doing this to be a pain in the arse. No, before we even get to Fury, let's talk about the park entrance because we got lost straight away.
I want to talk about even before that. I was the one driving on this trip, which up to this point had been fine. Like, driving in Europe made sense to me within 5 minutes of driving off a ferry. But Bobbejaanland just confused the life out of me because there's a sign and a gap to get in a car park, and then nothing for a bit, and then another gap to get into a car park where the sat-nav was sending me where I went, and then it looped around all sorts of crap. And then I wound up where I wanted to park. It was carnage.
It did take us around the houses a bit, didn't it?
It did. It was an absolute mess of a road layout, and I'm not sure
And
why.
the car park layout as well. That made very little sense.
The car park was really tight.
There's a degree of that I understand, because they're clearly limited by space. But
yeah,
it's still fucked. It's just... bleh. It was a pain to drive, and I was fine driving in Europe. It made sense.
Yeah.
They do drive on the wrong side of the road, though. I'd just like to make that very, very, very clear. But,
Imagine driving on the same side of the road as Americans. Oh, one thing I would like to mention, I'm pretty sure it was this park, there were dogs in there. It's probably one of my highlights of this entire park.
That did improve the park endlessly. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Then we got to the entrance.
Pretty bog standard entrance.
Yeah, it's too small, but I think we were there on quite a busy day. So I'm
the
not
entrance to
surprised.
Bobbejaanland kind of gave me the original Hershey Park entrance sort of vibe.
Far too small for the purpose it serves.
Far too small and overcrowded.
Yeah,
it didn't really sort of open up into the park. It sort of it
It
was
ended. A narrow street for ages, wasn't there?
Yeah. The entrance sort of ended with a wall that is the point where you choose whether you go clockwise or anti-clockwise around the lake.
And once you've made that choice, there is no going back.
You make a genuinely important life decision about how you're going to navigate Bobbejaanland.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, you can go anti-clockwise, and you get to do Fury and everything first. If you go clockwise, you have nothing but wank for, the third of your day.
It's a lot of dross and a Mac-powered coaster that way, isn't it? That's about it. But that, we'll ignore that for the time being.
They do have the dark rides and things that way, but we didn't do those because it was so damn busy.
Yeah. I can't imagine them being particularly good.
No, they won't be.
I guess we'll find out if we ever go back.
The only reason I would ever go back to that park is if they get a brand new coaster that looks really good, or it's on the way of another trip we do.
Yeah, just convenient for how much? That was the most expensive park of the three we did, wasn't it?
I think
it
was.
€30 a pop.
Was it?
Quite steep.
Yeah, but wasn't it the only park we couldn't get a Groupon voucher for?
Yeah,
That's probably the reason.
Yes.
So yeah, Fury.
Yes. Fury.
The concept is really cool. Being able to choose whether you want to go forwards or backwards throughout the layout is it's awesome. I love it, and I do appreciate.
It's very unique.
I do appreciate the layout, but the problems sort of arise in the station. Like you get into the station, it then splits off into the two separate things.
That was weird. I'm wondering if when we went, obviously because it was new, it was just lacking signage, so they would have signs saying, look, go left if you want to go backwards, go right if you want to go forward.
I mean, there sort of was, because they had those little 2D hand cutouts, didn't they, pointing in different directions on each wall.
Yeah, but they were so not meaningless, but like, you know.
Honestly, I'm convinced the voting system was just straight bricked when we rode it.
You've got to wonder. We did see it running backwards.
It did go backwards, but I feel like it was just the computer deciding.
Pure chance. Oh, fuck it, these guys will go backwards, yeah.
I do think there is a certain... if you go to one side, it only goes forwards. If you go to the other side, it's a vote. But I can't remember which side is which because I saw someone said it in one of the Discords that we're in.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the time we went,
may have seen the same thing.
Yeah, at the time we went, I don't think there was any signage saying, go this way if you want to vote, or go this way if you only want to go forwards.
The whole thing felt quite unfinished.
Yeah.
Honestly, and that's only part of it. Like, I highly doubt they'll ever change it, but the fencing down the queue line was felt very temporary and industrial, and the queue line itself was like, oh, we'll just throw some tarmac on the floor here and they can walk down that. It was really... It just didn't feel like a cohesive whole that they were kind of shooting for, with the little bits of theming they have here and there, and the IMA score that for some reason they invested money on.
I can't even remember that soundtrack.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It was a very forgettable soundtrack.
Yeah, for a very forgettable ride.
I was probably the most disappointed by Fury, given that I'd followed it for the longest, whereas I don't think.
I don't know.
I utterly ignored it, and I'm quite happy I did, because it meant I wasn't particularly disappointed when I got off it.
I utterly ignored it, and I was still disappointed.
Except I was following it, so I knew what the layout was, I knew what it would do, I followed the construction, so I was personally quite hyped for it, and I came off.
I knew about the voting system, and I knew the rough layout, but yeah.
No, I watched it get built and everything. As soon as we'd established that we'd be doing this trip, I was like, yeah, I want to go ride Fury. And then the fact that, it melted its LSMs like a week before we went or something.
I think that was like 2 days before, wasn't it?
It was something like that. And
Wasn't it literally on opening day that it did that?
No, it was a few days after.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to their credit,
they got
new LSMs day of, which was quite good going.
Yeah.
But, it's a bit of a,
I think after the first ride, I'd enjoyed it, but at the end of the day, we did it again after spending a day at the park, and I liked it less.
That ruined it a little bit.
So I think that after the first ride, I came off thinking, that was good fun. After the end of the day ride, first of all, we'd spent the day at the park, which was shit. And secondly, we then got spited another ride by Blob.
Oh,
we
God.
did. Yes, that was
really irritating.
Rob Alvey and his merry band of very questionable-looking people.
Yeah.
I should also add on to this, we never actually got to ride it backwards.
No, we didn't.
No, and that's...
I think we all voted backwards every single time, didn't we?
Yep.
At one point, there was 3 of us, and I even voted backwards on the empty seat, and it still didn't go backwards.
Yeah, it's... I mean, obviously, you can't complain at democracy and all that shit, but it would be nice to have a dedicated...
I think it was rigged.
Look,
it was rigged.
If you want to go backwards, go in this queue, kind of thing. Because it is presumably quite a different experience. Because, I mean, going forwards, it's a reasonably forceless, fairly dull ride. But I imagine doing the same thing backwards would add a little bit of spice.
Even if they just had, like, a dedicated time of day where it only ran backwards.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
I have no idea how the systems might work. So I think they run it forwards for the first bit of the day or something like that. I don't know.
I think it's locked forwards for the first couple of hours, maybe.
I have absolutely no idea.
I've heard that somewhere.
I mean,
along
the
line,
issue
but-
is there were very few signs explaining anything, and of those signs we couldn't actually understand them.
Yes.
Yeah, they were all just really crap infographics, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's a hand pointing a direction that's completely meaningless because it's not relative to the launch track. Right, what are you doing?
I don't think there was any writing anywhere explaining how it worked and
No.
what to do.
I mean, I imagine that's an attempt to be, open to international audiences like us. But if nobody
guess,
understands
but
your
yeah.
signage, then what's the point? Who knows?
Anyway, to sum up Fury, I think it's a waste of potential,
Yes.
and it could have been so much better.
A key factor we didn't hit on there is the death rattle it had.
Oh god, yeah. It was not
After
smooth.
just 2 weeks of being open, it already had a really quite unpleasant rattle going on. And that
Yeah.
apparently is a hallmark of newer Gerstlauers as well, and I have a working theory that new Gerstlauers are so over-supported that the rigidity of the structure means the vibrations have to go somewhere, and that place is the train. So the train just rattles everywhere it goes by virtue of being over-supported. So it's never going to get fixed unless you add dampeners to the footer, which you're not doing that.
Also, in terms of forces, I didn't find it particularly forceful. It didn't.
No,
it had
no, it
airtime
wasn't.
and it had positives, but nothing
I think
impressive.
the reason I personally felt the airtime more is because of Untamed the day prior bruising my thighs. So
Yeah.
if it pulled 0.5 G, I felt it immediately, and it was quite painful.
See, I didn't feel that because all of Untamed forces went onto my shins.
Yes,
But that's something we can cover another time.
that is another podcast. So yes, to sum up Fury, as Tyler was saying, it's a solid idea with a not terrible layout and a reasonable gimmick, but it's just missing stuff from all of them to turn it into a ride that's actually really good.
And it's
And
also
it
at
could quite
Bobbejaanland.
easily have been. It is also at Bobbejaanland, which is a massive, massive, massive negative.
Yeah.
Typhoon?
Yes, that's what we did
yes,
next.
that was going straight to that.
Typhoon has a trimmed drop, so it's inherently crap as a Eurofighter.
I was really looking forward to this, and then I had to queue 40 minutes for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
boy.
wasn't
That
wasn't
wasn't
great. But then, even taking away the fact we had to queue that long for it, it wasn't a fantastic ride.
I do have a somewhat spicy opinion on this, though.
Go on.
I preferred it to Fury.
Interesting.
Huh.
It was more forceful.
It was
That
is
certainly
true.
more forceful.
It was more forceful. It was more whack in general. I love a wacky ride.
It had some design choices going
It was
on in
certainly
that.
more interesting and more enjoyable than Fury for me. But again, I didn't do Fury backwards, so
I can see that. To be fair, the loop in particular is
that
quite
loop is
quite
wild.
interesting. It takes that quite a lick.
To think about the fact that this did originally operate without a trimmed drop.
That would have been quite
That
fun.
loop would have been like Schwarzkopf level.
Yeah.
Even
But
it
then-
was still running it.
It was still really forceful.
I think the weirdest bit about it is because the Eurofighters that I'm used to are things like Soar, Rage, Speed. It's nothing like them.
Yeah, it's
No,
more
it's
like a wild mouse on cocaine.
Yeah, it's the evolution of the Togo looping mouse.
It
Yeah.
really
That's-
is, yeah.
That's what Typhoon is, and I enjoyed it. It's my least favourite of the Eurofighters, but that's probably again purely because I had to wait 40 minutes for it at Bobbejaanland.
Yeah.
It's just the layout just doesn't do enough. It's got the drop, which is crap, the loop, which is quite good fun, immediately into a block break, and then into two rolls
Yeah, I think-
that sort of do nothing, block break, a drop that doesn't really do much, block break.
Its inherent issue is that because it was designed as a travelling coaster, there's a lot of pauses in between everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's designed to be able to just shit out train after train after train after train,
Which
would
it
explain
wasn't
the whole
doing.
double block lift. But yeah,
Because that helix at the end is absolutely disgusting in the way
It's
it's shaped.
so strange.
It's like it
Uh,
can't
it
decide where it
looks-
wants to go.
It's shaped like they put the supports in first, and
Yeah,
then gone,
and then
wait,
thought,
shit,
"Ah,
we forgot
shit."
to actually connect the track up. What do we do? Right, I can go through here straight, through here again straight. Okay, now we're on a brake run.
I think it changes banking like 4 times during the
It's
helix.
all over the shop. Yeah, it's a marvel of coaster design. Very strange.
Honestly, one of the most interesting features of this coaster is the strange set of plastic arses hanging from the roof of the station.
They are odd. I told you I worked out or found out what they're for. Yeah, they're restraint testing for anyone who's curious.
Interestingly, the only Eurofighter I've ever seen that on.
Oh yeah, but I imagine again that's down to the fact that it's designed to just shit out trains, so it would have loads of them. So having something where you can quickly and efficiently test all of the restraints in a matter of seconds, probably ideal for that circumstance.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad ride. It's just not a good ride.
Yeah, it's a bang average ride, really, isn't it?
I imagine that's probably a recurring theme we'll have as we continue round.
Oh boy.
The park.
Well, yeah, you say that, but the next ride, according to location, is Diz or Naga Bay. Sorry.
Oh no.
Which is
shit.
Yeah, it's just boring.
That's so bad.
It is.
The layout's boring. It trims to hell. The spinning's garbage.
It is by far the worst Mara spinning I've ever done.
It's honestly straight up one of the worst spinners I've ever done.
It's the worst spinner, full stop. I'd take a Revachon over that thing.
I'd take a Zamperla clone over that.
See, I don't go that far because I've done one of the SBF figure 8 things.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, although it's a close, only very very close behind.
I was gonna say not much in it.
Yeah,
it's just very dull and kind of like Fury. It feels unfinished, and the fencing I remember distinctly is massive. It's just covered in don't die fences.
Yeah, if it didn't trim so much, it would be quite good. Because anytime you start to get a spin on, you get to a break, it slows you right down. You lose all the spinning that you've done, and then you carry on.
Yeah, you essentially start each section of track not spinning, which just kind of ruins it.
So you end up just sort of looking in one direction as you go around the whole track.
Yeah, and there's nothing really that starts it spinning very well either.
It's something I've noticed with Mara spinners, which I've mentioned before, is that the best ones, with the exception of one, the best ones always start with a turn to the right. Because they can unlock the spinning as they turn. Any ones that start with a turn to the left, they have to unlock on a straight section of track, purely because of the way that they use the unlock system.
Point.
So things like Dragon's Fury, the drop is so good because you unlock on a turn.
Yeah, they get that initial kick to start off the spinning on the drop.
Dragon's Fury again, the drop is not fuck. Spinball, that's the one. The drop it unlocks on the turn instead of on a straight, whereas Diz, you get to the top, there is a straight section of track, it unlocks, and then you turn to the left, so if you're facing forwards, you still face that way, but you just start moving sideways.
Yeah.
Which is where the problems begin in terms of shit spinning. But again, like I do appreciate the Mara spinning system.
Oh yeah, they're great little coasters when they're designed well.
Usually.
Like, hang on, let me pull up my rankings. I'll find out exactly how bad Diz really is.
Oh, I had it low.
I cannot remember for the life of me.
It's in the hundreds.
Oh, for sure.
Deep into the hundreds.
I have it at 96. Wait, no.
That's higher than me.
I read it wrong. 95. The only Mara I've actually got lower is Rattlesnake, because I'd rather be spinning on a shit layout than being beaten up in a tiny car.
Fair. Where are we? Naga Bay is 124 for me. The only Maras I have lower are Rattlesnake again and Ukko at Linnanmäki.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same minus Ukko because I haven't been there yet.
Every other spinner I've done is a lot higher. I've got Tarantula at 25, Winger's Fear at 28, Force at 45, Dragon's Fury 51, Crush at 54, Spinball 65, and then you get Naga Bay at 95.
Yeah, I'm not miles off.
It's just so bad.
It's quite boring, yeah.
I think this will be another one of those episodes where we end it and we're like, well, that was shit. So what did we
what
do?
did we do next? Did
Well,
we do Wild Mouse or did we do Revolution?
Let's go for Revolution next.
Yeah, we're just sort of working around the park anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
We're not really going in any sort of order anymore.
Revolution is the one redeeming factor of this park.
Yes.
I love Revolution.
It is a very fun ride.
It's probably the biggest meme
It's hilarious.
that we did on that
comical.
trip. It's
ride, what is it, 32 cars long, the train. Nothing but left turns.
The station has 2 90-degree turns in it.
Yep.
We sat near the back as well, didn't we?
We did,
So
yes,
we
we did
got
well.
properly yonked over every...
Staggeringly, it had airtime.
It feels so fast when you're riding it.
It does.
I didn't know what to expect out of that. I thought it would just be sort of lift up and then a gentle spiral down, but no, it throws you about.
It has some poke on the way back.
It starts off as you'd expect, and it just keeps accelerating out of nowhere.
Yeah, it does not lose speed.
It feels more like a bobsled with no brakes.
It does.
It just gets
It
wilder
does.
and wilder until the end.
Like one of those alpine slides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what my favourite part of it was, because we were at the back, as we started going up the hills, the front of the train was already all the way down them. So so we would speed up as we were going uphill. It was brilliant.
And it should be noted, like, the lift hill on this thing is like a big spiral around the building, and the front of the train was nearly catching up to us on the next set of spirals as it went
pretty
up
much
the lift.
directly above.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? It's probably 100 by 100 foot square.
It's a long, big building.
If not bigger.
It's a large building.
Comically hilarious trains.
One thing we didn't do was the VR experience.
Yeah, too right.
Because it had like a 4-hour queue.
But we did feel the impact of those operations.
We did.
Oh god, yeah. It was
I think
shocking.
the longest we had was nearly a 10-minute dispatch while they were getting all the VR working.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
Obviously, in a post-COVID world, I wouldn't be enormously surprised if they beat it completely. But when we went this time last year, it was a massive problem.
Yeah, it was bad.
They had VR on an awful lot of attractions.
Yeah, they properly bought into the VR hype train when it came out, to very little avail.
Yeah. You just see the headsets dangling off Dreamcatcher.
Oh, that's
Oh no!
properly funny. Let's play a game. Which headset's going to break the clearance envelope this circuit?
Oh, more on that shit show later.
Yeah.
Quality.
Back to Revolution.
Yes.
In my opinion, second best ride at the park, but I know you guys, I think, prefer it to Fury.
I have it second as well.
Oh, fair enough.
I have it second to Typhoon.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fury. I think Fury is my favourite there, just because it's. I have a soft spot for Gerstlauer, and as a concept, I want to. Fury is the reason I want to go back. Revolution is a bonus.
I do want to go back just to try and ride Fury backwards, to be honest.
So if we do a trip that way,
we'll have to take 12 people with us.
We'll have to go with it. No, we only have to take.
Oh, we'll only have to take like 3 more.
More than half a train.
Yeah, 3 more people.
We only need 6 people maximum. No,
Guaranteed
7.
Backwards
Need
rides.
7 for a maximum backwards ride.
Yes.
There
we are then.
We can test how democratic it
Write
is.
to
If it
us.
still doesn't work, then
if you want to come
have
on a trip,
proof that it's rigged.
Write to us with your CV as to why you believe you should come on a Bobbejaanland trip with us, purely to get a backwards ride on a Fury. Post all applications to 123 Don't Do This Street. Some postcode that I haven't thought of. You can.
Ah, you didn't think of a fake postcode. This is
No,
shocking.
bottled it.
BOGOFF.
That's the one.
No, it's B0G0FF.
Of course, yes. Sorry, I forgot the postcode naming schemes. Silly me.
So yeah,
I'd like to
Revolution
get. Oh, sorry.
Well,
Yes,
what?
exactly. Yeah, enjoy it in that bit.
Oh, fuck's sake.
It's contagious. Are we finished with Revolution?
I was going to say something. I cannot remember what it was.
I'll let you think while I give a brief shout out to the one-sided indoor splash battle that's right next to Revolution, because that is funny.
Yeah, that was
That's
I had to
cursed
do
as
a
fuck.
double take when I walked in and saw that. I was like, huh?
Like, hang on a minute, these boats have been cut in half. Oh, there's a float on the other side. Why have they done that? Oh, because if they have the other side still attached, you'd be able to soak a restaurant when you're going round the ride. Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Why is it indoors? What? So many
That
questions.
whole area that Revolution is really weird. It's like in a big tent, isn't it?
It's a strange one. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of it.
You say that as if that's the only strange bit of the park.
Yeah, that is.
We
true.
haven't even got onto the strange part yet.
Yeah. Should we move to the next part of
Speedy Bob, I do believe.
Indeed it is. Speedy Bob.
Before we had to walk through that little westerny themed area before, didn't we?
Yes.
Because that was surprisingly nice. That western themed area, but then
Yeah,
it's
it
so
wasn't too
cheap to
bad.
do western. If you fuck that up, you're a lost cause, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have many
did the
questions,
wild
many
mouse?
comments on the wild mouse. It was just a wild
It's
mouse.
a wild mouse. Didn't really trim.
It was quite a good one, actually.
Fine.
To be fair,
It was a
The-
it was a
you
good
could
wild mouse.
tell, you could see the gaping great hole, because there used to be two of them. One mirror sitting right next to it. Haven't
Yeah.
done anything with where that mirror went, where that mirror was. It's just a slab of concrete now, slightly overtaken by nature.
Yeah.
Looks crap, but you know, that's the running theme.
It looks rubbish, but it actually rides quite well.
Yeah, you can't really knacker up a wild mouse of any kind unless you're Chessington. They're quite good at knackering up wild mice, it turns out.
there's a very interesting rapids at this park.
Not anymore.
Was, yeah.
Well, there was, yeah.
So that used to, for the uninitiated, had a rapids with a lift hill that was a Ferris wheel, and
Yeah.
now there is not. Presumably because it was a health and safety nightmare. Understandably, they canned it, or a maintenance.
Either that
nightmare,
or
one of the two.
operational.
I reckon
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, I reckon it was a maintenance nightmare more than.
It's quite sad because there's just like this big cut. They've built like a second route that just bypasses all the
it's
fun
just,
part.
oh, missed that. So it's now no longer got the Ferris wheel thing nor a drop. So it looked like
I
quite
can't
crap
remember
rapid.
if we didn't bother riding it because of Cure, it was just closed.
Queue. It was probably about an hour, if not more. Queue.
Yeah.
Not
If it still
bothering.
had the Ferris wheel, I absolutely would have
Oh yeah,
bothered, but
I would have been doing that.
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't worth it.
What's next? Chronology. I know what's next.
Oh boy, I know what's next too.
I don't think we're thinking the same thing though. I'm thinking cycle monorail.
I am
Yep.
also thinking Cycle
Oh, you
Monorail.
are cracking. Yeah, that
This
was fun
was-
as fuck.
Yeah, this was brilliant.
Is it a credit?
Oh,
Because
Very tempted.
It's got
I-
it's got a lift hill and it's downhill
does.
all the way.
yeah, that it also is. It's a very questionable cred.
Regardless of your opinions on whether it's a cred or not, it is fucking fun.
It was brilliant
it was
fun.
properly. Didn't it mangle your shoe?
It destroyed
Yeah.
your shoe.
It mashed my shoes completely because I was pedaling too fast. And my shoes just started tearing themselves apart because they get
Yeah.
caught on the pedals.
Yeah, the only sort of downside to those, the gear ratio on the cars is very, very low, so you have to pedal so fast to get
You
any
do.
speed up.
It was fantastic fun though. I enjoyed that
Oh, yeah.
immensely.
It's one of my highlights of the day, actually.
It was
Yes.
really funny. That little area of the
Did we
park.
break it too?
I think we
I think
crashed
you,
into
you,
some.
you crashed them repeatedly.
had a-
Didn't you hit
you
some
pulled
Belgian
something-
child,
no.
didn't you?
I swear you tried to apply the brake going up the lift hill, and it made the most disgusting noise.
Oh yeah, I think did we sort of skip
Oh,
a chain? We skipped.
Yeah, we completely skipped a chain on
I
the lift
remember
hill
that,
because you
yeah.
pulled the brake. I
Yeah.
remember that.
The chain-
Made a
the chain-
fucking horrible noise.
chain kept going. We kind of stayed where we were. It went clunk, and then I was like, "Shit, better not do that." We carried on up the lift hill.
That was good.
But
That
yeah,
was
good
good.
times all round on the monorail.
Yes, the same cannot be said, however, of the next attraction around the loop.
Oh,
God.
fucking hell.
Dreamcatcher.
More-
We queued over an hour for this.
In the blistering sun. For 2020, it should be added they have put in canopies over the queue. It's a fuck off great cattle pen.
I can't believe they
But-
invested more money into
I
and
know.
and they've repainted the ride so it
Yeah.
doesn't look like a pile of
Shit.
shite.
It's rust. It's artistic rust is what it was last year. It was
But
disgusting.
it was pink, yellow, and blue rust.
Yes, hideously bleached pink, yellow, and blue rust.
With one working train between two of them.
Yeah, I've got it written down. So between the two trains, there are a total of 20 rows. And of those 20 rows, 11 of them were shut.
Yeah.
was...
Across both trains.
Basically, it was running less than one train on a two-train operation.
Yeah, it was properly bad. I mean, we had the blessing, for want of a better word, of a front row ride, which probably improved it marginally. I did go into that thinking, oh, you never know, maybe it'll be better than Vampire, because anyone who even loosely knows me knows I'm not a fan of Vampire. It's boring, it's rough, it's painful. This was bad.
This coaster is by an absolute country mile my worst suspended coaster. In fact, I have it under energy at the fusion thing at the Energy Trampoline Park.
I think I've got it under that as well.
I think I might as well.
Dreamcatcher.
It was disastrously boring. The layout did nothing. There was no swing. It never gathered any speed. There was no theming. It was over a lake that smelt of shite. It was painted horribly. The station was crap. It was just... And it had the terrible, terrible Vekoma suspended train. It was just, from the word go, it was garbage.
Honestly, I might have enjoyed it a bit more if it had banged my head around a bit, because then at least I know it's doing something.
I remember when we got off that ride, that was our absolute low point at the park. It was oh no.
That was the point we realised just how shit the park.
Yeah, it's the epitome of all of Bobbejaanland. It's just not been cared for.
Yeah.
It looked... visually it was terrible. They'd rethemed it, for want of a better word, a few years prior and put rockwork on 2 of the 4 walls of the station, so as soon as you got to the other side you could tell it was just a tin shed with no walls. Still, it was crap. It was obviously painted and maintained horribly like the rest of the park. It's just...
Yeah, I think honestly, now that I'm properly thinking about it, I think I don't dislike Bobbejaanland as much as I thought I did. I just really dislike certain parts of it, because after we did Revolution and Fury and Typhoon, I thought it was fine. I thought it was quite an acceptable park. You know, it had its flaws.
Seen the worst.
But then we went round.
It's those few little bits, isn't it? Like Dreamcatcher, that just kill the rest of the park. I think the fact we went in with lowered expectations anyway, because we'd been chatting to the Coasters World guys who were there a few days prior, who were not overly enamoured with that park. Fucking hell, they were not. So we went in thinking, oh, it's going to be a bit crap, isn't it? We should have gone to the Efteling. Fuck. And it was exactly that.
We really should have gone to Efteling.
We fucked that up. We fucked that up wholesale.
I think... our biggest mistake was starting off with the good rides, because we started off with Fury, then we did Typhoon, then we did Revolution. It was kind of, oh, that was fun, oh, that was alright, oh, that was brilliant. And then we worked
Dreamcatcher.
We worked our way around the park and we were like, oh shit, Dreamcatcher, oh for God's sake, okie dokie, oh Diz, that was shit. You know, it got progressively worse in the order that we did things. But I mean, carry on. Oh, fuck. The more I think about it, the more I don't dislike the park. I just realise how disappointing those rides are.
It's just those few that detract from all of it.
The biggest issue is the way the layout works. Like with a park like Alton Towers, it's the same thing in that you do a big circle around the park, but there's a good ride in every individual area.
Yeah.
Whereas in this park, all the good rides are in one bit.
Yeah.
And at least with Towers, you've got a way to get from one side to the other fairly easily.
Yeah, if they had a cable car across the lake or something there, that would be ideal.
They had, nice. just something.
Literally anything.
Because with Towers, you can get from the Dark Forest to Forbidden Valley just by going down the valley and up again.
Yeah.
Or over the Sky Ride. Yeah, mind you can't do that anymore. If you're listening to this during the pandemic, the Sky Ride doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. Those cables lead to nowhere. Carry on.
But Bobbejaanland, if you want, say you're at Okie Dokie, and you've just come off that really disappointed, and you want a bit more disappointment, and you look at Diz, the only way you can get to it is by going all the way around the lake one way or all the way around the lake the other way.
It's a good 10-15 minute walk either way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you can see the two across the lake from where you are.
Yeah.
They're so close to each
As
other.
the crow flies, they're probably, 40 metres away?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
But you have to
silly.
walk like half a fucking
You've
kilometre
got
to
to go
get
like
there.
yeah.
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 Speaking of okie dokie, shall we
Can we
have a
first
quick-
talk about
Nope.
the building near Okie Dokie?
I don't know if I want to talk about that.
We need to talk about that because I went for a wee there.
Oh, it's time.
Oh,
It's time for bog review.
I'm a little bit worried about what you've got to say with this one because that
I
building was
genuinely,
questionable.
in hindsight, don't think I actually went to the bog at
I
Bobbejaanland.
don't think I did either.
Ah, just me then.
Yeah, just you, so take it away.
They were like the Blackpool ones. They were like an old.
Oh dear.
They were like an old train station. I wasn't blown away. I was
Saying
Very-
it wasn't
very
a
average bog.
Klugheim level bog is what you're saying.
No,
no.
not quite Klugheim, but not quite Winter Wonderland at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night.
Really hard to
Oh.
find. That was the thing. Really hard to
Yeah.
find them.
You were
That
in
may
there
well
a
be why
while.
I never went to the bog. I couldn't work out where any of the fuckers were.
You kind of go in and it turns into sort of an indoor arcade thing where nothing in there is free. You have to pay to do everything.
Oh, that's right.
And it had like those
Right.
like space car bumper
So
car
it's
things.
the pyramid at Fantasy Island.
Except really badly painted in properly
Yep, so
garish
it's
colours.
It's the pyramid.
So
at
it's the
Fantasy
pyramid
Island.
at Fantasy Islands.
Yeah.
Except it's not actually well maintained. At least the Fantasy Island pyramid is somewhat well maintained.
For now.
In here, all the paint is peeling, and you know
Oh.
there's
so it's Bobby.
there is a huge, great soft play area in there as well. So you've got like a little food court where people. I think it was a food court, but there were just a lot of people.
So it's like another version of the Revolution building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is. Except there's nothing else in there. At least designed for us. I think it's the family kiddie area of the park. But it's the only sign
Yeah,
to any
that
sort
would
of bog that I
explain
saw.
the 20-foot clown strapped to the front of the building.
It's a unit. It is an absolute unit.
Beast of a clown.
Yeah.
It's like a building in Planet Coaster that's been made really overscaled.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel
That's
that
the observation I'd made. Yeah.
I feel that Okie Dokie is a bit too far away from that. Like it's clearly that
Yes.
clown, the front
Yes,
car,
the same clown.
but
Yeah.
it's still, you know,
It's a good 100 meters down the path, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think that's a good enough transition.
yeah.
for,
Brings us
there we
nicely
are.
onto Okie Dokie.
It's fine.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
There we are.
there we go.
Right,
that'll
Bob
do.
Express.
Right, this is a good
Oh,
coaster.
actually,
I enjoyed
before
this.
that, really quickly, the supports on Okie Dokie.
No, we don't have to
No,
bring those
no,
up. We're not
no.
going to be bringing those up, I'm afraid. Bob Express.
Fair enough.
They
This
offend the education I have in structural engineering. They offend on a deep and instinctive level. It's just, why have you done it like that? Anyway,
I
right.
think I had a little look into it actually. I looked on RCDB. Let me do it again.
is it to do with the fact that it's a clone and they had to modify it to fit their area?
No,
Most definitely.
I don't think it's not a clone, is it? It's
I think
custom.
It is. Is
I
it
know it's
custom?
custom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's custom.
Let's see if,
What it is
I'll tell you,
is the
it's
path
the
and the monorail. Yeah,
monorail path. Yeah. Okay.
because the monorail goes right under the lift hill.
I don't entirely retract my prior statement, but I do now understand why they have done it.
Yes,
They're still
looks
disgusting.
it looks horrible. And the monorail, we didn't ride the monorail, but the monorail looks horrible.
It's just-
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember a monorail.
there is one, and it looked crap. It made
does.
very funny noises,
Yeah.
for one thing.
I think the other thing about the supports as well is they sort of cantilever over the lake.
They don't sort of cantilever
They
over the lake. They
royally
entirely
cantilever.
cantilever over the lake. It's disgusting.
I couldn't remember if there were any footers in the lake at all, because I think there are like
Let
later.
me show you a picture of the concept model real quick. I'll let you decide if they do cantilever or not. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. There's a footer in the water. On
Oh
that.
wait, what? Why has he done that? Hang on. What?
We were
So
looking at
you're
the same
okay
image.
with putting a footer in the lake, but you put it 10 foot away from where the track is and cantilever a support? Why?
My guess is that the lake goes really deep,
the
really
lake
quickly.
must just drop, yeah.
It's like the fucking Mariana Trench down there.
That is the only logical explanation, is that Bobbejaanland is in fact built on a fault line.
It's actually the deepest body of water in Belgium.
It must be.
I think.
Oh, God.
I think it's just ridiculous because instead of redesigning the layout to accommodate everything else around it, instead of putting the lift towards the lake and then dropping it inwards.
Slightly?
Yeah, it's. I don't know.
They could have had the drop go down and underneath the monorail.
They could have done a lot of things, but we've got what they have.
Should we move on to Bob Express before we have aneurysm?
Are you referring to the GCI disguised as a powered coaster?
Yes, that's I am.
It's the best Mac-powered coaster that exists.
Yes.
That we've done so far.
I would agree.
I think I agree too.
It was just fun. It had some really interesting transitions, like you would see on a GCI.
Which gave really good
it
air.
Had lats.
Yeah. Little bit of air, spicy little lat. It was, it was fun.
And we got to drive the train.
We did get to drive the train.
I didn't get to drive the train.
Yeah, we got to drive the train though.
I had a better view though. So.
Fair enough.
True.
Yeah, it's quite a nice open layout.
It's fun, yeah, going over the lake and interacting with the flume, which was also, it was a bang average flume, really, wasn't it? You can't really fuck them up.
I think we were spoilt the day before with the wallaby flume, though.
Oh, yes.
That was good. But that also, as with the untamed restraint bitching that we're going to do, is for another episode.
Indeed it is.
What else is there at this godforsaken park that we haven't spoken about? That's pretty much it, isn't it?
The frisbee.
Oh, shit.
Wank.
Horrendously restrictive restraints, garbage cycle, very little force.
It's interesting.
Nice view of Fury.
Very good view of Fury.
I've done Max Air at Cedar Point, which is like the exact same ride, but I do not remember the restraints being that bad. There's something different about the restraints on that one.
You've got fat.
Yeah.
No, but not in that sense. More in the sense of you literally can't look either side.
It's like someone's put blinkers on.
It's like you got one of those dog cones on your head.
Yeah.
A cone of shame. No licking your bollocks, Jay. Come on.
I think I'd also been quite spoiled by Loki. So
I feel very sorry for you having done Loki and then riding that.
Yeah, that's
a pretty monumental step down.
Should also be noted that it's running a crap cycle.
Oh, it's
it does
shite, isn't it?
It does like one full swing one way and that's it.
Yeah.
It's a shame because it does have quite cool views.
It does. The interaction it has with Fury is great.
And it comes really close to different parts. Like if it was a Loki style one with the lap bars, it'd be brilliant.
What other crap?
I remember this point because we'd done everything and we were just stood outside Typhoon thinking I don't want to be here anymore.
I went off to find something to fucking drink because I had a splitting headache.
Did we even ride anything after we did Fury?
We
did Fury twice and then got cucked by Rob and then went and caught a ferry.
That's right, yeah.
And in all honesty, the ride on the ferry was probably more entertaining than most of the rides we did that day.
We had a really nice ferry on the way back.
They're fun.
Yeah, ferries
are quite underrated modes of transport, ferries, aren't they?
Looks like I know how we're getting to Bobbejaanland when we do that one.
Oh, yeah, no shit.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck taking the train.
Ferry all the way.
Remind me too much of work.
Did you just imply British trains are as good as German ones and French ones?
In all honesty, yes, they're about on par with the experience I've had with German trains now. Have you ever been abandoned in Brussels because your ICE's been cancelled with no reason?
That sounds very British.
We're getting off topic.
It's just proof of this park is so bad we'd rather talk about German trains. That pretty much says it all, doesn't it?
I mean, then, to be fair though, the Schwebebahn falls under the category of a German train, and the Schwebebahn is exceedingly cool.
Is that the suspended monorail?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you.
But again, like I don't necessarily think the park is terrible anymore.
As a whole,
I think
the
it was
park's
just
not
disappointing.
Shit. It's underwhelming, and it has a few absolute blistering shit shows.
I do feel like if we went back and it was a quiet day and we got 3 rides on everything, we'd come back with a better opinion of this park.
I think I can tell you what hacked me off as well. It was busy, and it was hot, and I'd only packed jeans. That's a pretty surefire way to piss me off, is to try and cook me. So that probably didn't do it many favours. And then the general lack of shade around the park was a little bit of a kick in the nads, but you know.
One thing we never talked about was the weird layout for that new area where Fury is.
Oh, it's fucked, isn't it?
Because they've combined all of the rides and all of the entrances are right next to each other.
It's
an
neat
interesting concept, but on a busy day, all that serves to do is clog up a plaza.
Yeah, like I did actually like the idea.
Yeah. And the theme they've gone for, the 4 elements or whatever, is quite clever. Like it's well done. Although I don't know how Sledgehammer is Earth because it swings 100 foot in the fucking air. But you know,
I don't think they cared that much about thematic integrity at Bobbejaanland.
Well, I mean,
patently, yeah.
it was just Sledgehammer was there already and Typhoon was there already, so they were like, well, let's just whack them together, you know.
What was the 4th?
It was the little water play area
that we tried to soak you in.
Oh, that's right. As a side note, there were dogs in there.
There were, yes. There were dogs deeply enjoying that water area, which I...
Yeah, that was again, good highlight of this park, and all European parks.
Yes, dogs.
So you might see a nice pupper when you visit.
Yes, I think the pinnacle of that is seeing a golden retriever next to Chiapas. That
was
brilliant.
Me,
that's it. That is peak. That's it. Literally everything ever from now on is downhill. There's absolutely no topping that.
I mean, we might go back and there might be 2 golden retrievers in front of Chiapas.
Or a golden retriever and a black lab and a German shepherd and a husky.
In front of Taran.
God.
In front of Taran.
Oh no!
Oh.
That's... Wow.
God, imagine. I'd never leave.
What a surprise! We're talking about better parts of Bobbejaanland again.
That pretty much sums up everything we have to say, doesn't it? There are better parks, and there are also better dogs than the one we saw at Bobbejaanland. I think it was like a Labradoodle or something shit like that.
Excuse me.
You did not just call...
shit, I forgot you have a Labradoodle. Oh no, that Labradoodle was a maniac, though. She forgot who I was and tried to attack me.
The key word being tried.
I have a strange feeling that I don't think that dog is capable of attacking another human being.
No, it's quite thick, but you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the grand shithole that was Bobbejaanland.
Yes. So that is, I think, unless Wave 2 Electric Boogaloo comes and shafts us, the end of the one-click lockdown specials.
I mean, how was this a lockdown special?
Yeah, that's not the point.
We probably should have said that at the start.
Yes, shut up.
What this is an episode that should have been released a month ago.
Yep, that as well.
I mean, our schedule kind of went out the window a while ago now.
That went to shit.
I know last time we said we'd do Thorpe Park as our next episode, but we decided that because we're going to Thorpe Park next week, we would do it next week.
We can do... How's about after Thorpe Park next week, we go to the Ridge Rider.
Ooh.
And we record an episode there for Thorpe.
Yes.
I'm not recording a podcast in a park.
Oh, yeah, no, let's not record in a playground. Oh, yeah, no, that's a terrible idea. Oh, shit. Yeah, you make a good point.
We're never doing a live episode of this. It'll be a mess.
Oh my god, it's been going for an hour.
So thank you, all 3 of you, for listening again. What are we on now? Are we on 3? 3 sound about right?
I reckon we're on about 5.
5?
5.
Hey. Go outside. or don't. Wear a mask, or don't.
But stay inside if you don't.
But stay inside and work from home if you can, or don't. Of course.
It's on you.
It's on you.
It's all your fault.
And don't forget to give us your tax money when you go to the pub. Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.